Walt Disney World, is it about to pull back on plans to reopen as Florida COVID-19 cases go through the roof? Well, as Disneyland already pulled back on their original July 17th start date, Walt Disney World doesn't look to be doing the same. In fact, with Disney Springs already in action and some of their Disney Vacation Club resorts already in play, it does not sound as though Walt Disney World is going to be pulling back from any sort of phased reopening of the theme parks after all, even as those cases rise. Well, Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida now has said he has no plans of rolling back any sort of business reopenings at this point, especially theme parks, as other theme parks have already come online. So as Disney ventures into this, Tyler, it's like something that could potentially bite them if they're not careful.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about it. It seems like it's one of those things where how can I don't know. They're not worried about safety, in my opinion, because they have to really think about if this is exactly what they want to do. It just seems like it's just not going to go well. Things are going bad in Florida as it is with so many cases that are coming up now. And I just feel like they're going to be kind of part of this coronavirus problem, unfortunately. I'm glad that they're keeping Disneyland closed. I hope they don't open downtown Disney. Even when we were in Vegas last weekend, which was a really kind of a dumb thing to do, I know. But we did it, but when we were there were so many people that just really didn't care about safety or rules or anything like that, and I just see that same exact thing happening whenever they decide to open at Disney. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully they decide they're going to close their doors over there. That's what I think they need to do. But
we definitely see cast members already being trained. In fact, Disney had released a video earlier this week of cast members sort of back in action, going through all the new safety guidelines, enhancements, and training that are going to be needed for reopening their theme parks. And certainly the cast members they talked to sounded very happy that the parks were going to be reopening. But Katrina, Universal Orlando has been open now for a little over a month, right? So, or they're coming up on it. So they've already been open, and I know that other theme parks in the Orlando attraction corridor have also reopened at this point. We're seeing Universal lay people off now. Do you imagine we're going to see a scenario where Walt Disney World faces a similar fate?
Yes. It's really sad to see. It breaks my heart to see people let go because of what's happening. And you know that Disney World's not going to need outside vendors. And I feel like they're going to be like the first ones to go.
Yeah.
And Disney, I know, is not going to waste time to try to like reposition them to make them do other things. And it really breaks my heart to see anybody let go in any kind of capacity, and this is like kind of out of their hands. There's no place to put them, and I feel like outside vendors are going to be pretty much them and like part of entertainment, because there's not going to be that much entertainment anymore. And then the pyrotechnic guys.
yeah, what are they supposed to do?
Not really, like guys and gals, not all guys,
Peeps.
The pyrotechnic peeps. There's like a lot of important things that either they're going to like remain on furlough or until they're like needed, but I don't think Disney's going to do that because they're like wasting money. So yeah, I don't know.
We have a friend who works, she's a California Adventure worker, and she got a call the other day, and they wanted her to come and work at Downtown Disney, which she moved from Downtown Disney, so she doesn't really want to go back again. And I totally respect that. I get that. So, maybe they will start trying to shuffle people around a little bit, but you're right. For a lot of the, the parade people, the technical people and all that stuff, what are they supposed to do?
I think what they're going to try to do is, again, there are different lists that they're going to call, right? So they're going to call merchandise people. They're going to go down the list and they're going to say, do you want to work? And then they'll go around the first time and then everybody will say no. Then they're going around the second time, and that's when you either get fired or you go to work. And that's how they're going to dwindle down these people that are going to say, I'm not ready to work. And they're like, okay, well, I have to let you go then. And then that's how they're going to lay people off. Because there are people out there that are more than willing to work in these circumstances. And it's really makes me like sad for these people that are not comfortable to work in these circumstances, that have been working for Disney for X number of years, and they go around that second time around the list and they say, are you going to work or are you not going to work? And they're going to say, I'm not comfortable working. Then they're let go. And then that's it's just one of those things that it really makes you frustrated. And with Universal, I'm not sure how they're letting people go, but I know in Hollywood they let, a string of people go. And unfortunately one of our friends was part of it. And so Universal Hollywood's going through the same thing as Florida did. So it's inevitable that Disneyland's going to have the same thing in Disney World.
And we heard
they're not even open yet.
Yeah, and we heard that Hollywood is going to go through a second run of letting people go too. So it's just that's what's going to happen, unfortunately. And Disney is definitely going to do the same exact thing. It's really sad, but
yeah, and they certainly have to recoup their costs. They've lost a lot of revenue, and these parks have always been a cushion for the company.
Yeah.
To fail in other categories, and the parks have always been the most reliable thing. Well, now when your parks just aren't open, you don't have that cushion anymore. And we saw a lot of sort of pushback from the Disneyland side of the cast member employee unions when it came to Disneyland officially reopening, and a lot more aggressive approaches when it came to those cast member unions, those cast members being far more vocal about not reopening, come July 17th. And, based on the state not putting any sort of authorization in play, they got their way. So we'll see what happens when it comes to Disneyland's official reopening date. But back to Disney World for a second, there are a few unions that have spoken up about Walt Disney World's reopening. In fact, Mary McCall, the executive director of Actors Equity Association, she said the following: if Disneyland is postponed, it's unclear how Walt Disney World can responsibly move toward reopening when coronavirus cases are much worse in Florida at this point. Obviously, things change every day. Obviously, things change week to week with this ridiculous virus. And it's like you can't plan for anything anymore because this virus just continues to wreak havoc on every plan, every well-laid, well-intentioned plan continues to be upended. Garrett, do you imagine that Walt Disney World is going to pull back in any capacity from its theme park reopening dates, or in a more limited approach?
I think it will be, if anything, more limited before they completely cancel it, since Governor DeSantis is still trying to push forward with this. I think it's a gamble on part of Disney as well as the government, if that makes sense. What I mean by it is, I think that Disney typically runs a lot of things. Like, Disney controls the tourism game. Like, if Disney's open, everything else is open. If Disney's open, flights are happening. And I think that what people are hoping is that people, when they go to Disney World, they will have to follow the safety regulations that they create. And in turn, that will create a wave that will go over everything, because like, oh, Disney World is being like safe about it and like wearing masks and all that stuff, and there's not as many cases. I think they're hoping that will project across the nation and will in turn make other people want to do it. For example, many years ago, Japan got hit with a tsunami and an earthquake, and they don't have someone that says the nation's closed. And so Tokyo Disneyland was the one that's like, we're reopening, and that brought hope back into people. So I think it could have a similar effect with Walt Disney World, the flagship of joy and magic. If that reopens and everything goes well, I think that will bring people back in, and maybe it will bring cases down, but ultimately it comes down to the individual. But I don't think that they're going to cancel plans for it. If they were to cancel anything, they would probably cancel the 2 other parks opening on the 15th. They would just keep, I believe it's just Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, and they would hold back on Studios and Epcot. But I also know that it's a numbers game. It comes down to what's the return for shareholders. That's the baseline of everything. Magic is wonderful, but it's a business, and it sounds cold-hearted, but I don't mean it like that. I just hope that things go well, because I want things to go well. I don't want things to fail. I want things to go well. But yeah,
well,
it's gonna be interesting.
The CEO of Disney, Bob Chapek, he even said that. I mean, he's like, it has to be profitable for us to reopen. And so they weren't going to be doing that unless it was something there where they could like break even and make a little bit of money. It's a business. It's not a charity. So, we always make sure that we underscore that. Obviously, as magical as Disney is, it's a business first and foremost. And knowing that Walt Disney World is planning that comeback on July 11th for theme parks to to start that phased reopening. It does become very concerning to see these COVID cases rising, and the key point being hospitalizations and deaths. If those are rising in all of the capacities, that's also something to be very, very nervous about. And guys, I feel like Disney, they know that they have to get this right because this is a huge gamble. They understand that. They have to understand that, which is why I think they waited so much longer than the other theme parks, where the other theme parks sort of jumped in feet first and were like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Disney held back a little bit, I think, just assuming things were going to get better. And for a brief period, it seemed like that's what happened. And then all of a sudden, boom, we're back to terrible things going on again in terms of numbers. And it's such a gamble.
It really is. It's going to be, like Garrett just said, it's like things change every day at this point, and it's been actually kind of the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life because things will seem like they're going okay one day, and then the next day things are upside down again, and that's just going to keep on going forward until we figure out a way to really combat this. I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, it's like the Karens of the world and the Todds of the world. They're ending it they're really spoiling it for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if you're so worried about wanting the economy to reopen and having everything continue forward, then just do your part. It's not that hard. It really isn't. So we're
all in this together, people.
Yeah, we're all in it together. So
just like High School Musical once said. Again, if Disney wants to open, they need to put their foot down and force people to wear their dang masks. And then Tyler and I talked about it recently, and because West Hollywood just put fines if they catch you outside, police can write you a fine for I think $250 for your first offense, $300 for your second. And I feel like Disney needs to do that, not in monetary ways. I mean, they'd be able to make it up pretty quickly. But if they were, if they put their foot down saying, if we catch you, this is like your first warning, your pass is suspended for a day. And then if they catch you again, then you're done for a week or something, and then a month, to put their foot down and tell that people that they're not joking. They're like, mom and dad, right? And they tell, the kids are messing around, and the mom and dad says, hey, don't do this anymore. And they go, okay. And then they turn around and they still continue to do it. The parents need to kind of do something about it and ground them.
I know that they're like a hospitality company and they're trying to make everybody's day magical and everything, right? But if we're going to all consider this to be unsafe, right? Wouldn't they also kick somebody out of their park for doing something unsafe, like jumping out of a ride vehicle or going backstage or just whatever? I mean, they would kick that person out. So I don't understand why they're so hesitant to do something about people not wearing their masks, because I feel like that's exactly the same thing of like putting other people in danger because of your actions, So that's just what I think. But I know a lot of people disagree with me. That's okay. We don't all have to be on the same page, but we'd get through this a lot faster if we were. So
well, and to that other side, I think that there's been so much in terms of what's effective and what's not, and while the mask situation has been proven time and time again to be very helpful, it's gotten to the point now where, and I've mentioned this before, where you have the World Health Organization saying it's not necessary to even wear one. You have the CDC saying you absolutely should wear one. Yeah, I see where people get frustrated. And you had the Surgeon General in the beginning saying, why are you buying up masks? It's not necessary.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have him saying, my God, put those on.
Yeah.
And so we're hearing conflicting information as we go along. On top of that, we're also being told, you can remove that mask when you sit down to eat, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Explain that to me. It's very confusing to know that, okay, the virus doesn't affect people when you sit down to eat.
Yeah, I think in a
that's
certain
when it
way,
takes a break.
Right. Yeah, it takes a break. It goes on a lunch break at that point.
Right.
And you eat too.
No, but I think they do that mostly just to try and make people feel some semblance of normalcy, right? Like they have to restrict us in certain ways, but I think they're trying to at least say like, okay, here's just a little tiny compromise, and it probably doesn't really make sense, but at the end of the day, even with that compromise and everything, there's still a lot of people out there that are unhappy.
Yeah.
So they're doing what they can. It doesn't take a genius to realize that even just talking and stuff, you're getting things out. You know, there's spit and air coming out of you at all times, and that's just from talking. Imagine sneezing, you know, coughing, all that stuff. It doesn't take a genius to realize that putting a mask on is going to just make it stay more in your area. Is it going to completely protect everybody else? No. But if it helps even just a little bit, why can't we just do it? It's really not that difficult.
No,
I mean, we've all been in a monorail before where everybody's in your personal space at the end of the night at Walt Disney World, and then they're holding on and they're holding their kids and they go
Yep.
and then they cough in the air and I'm literally against the window and I'm just like, oh my God, can you open? And I'm just really scared. And then, you know, little kids sneeze and they don't know what to do, so they just go achoo, and then they touch everything. So again, we're just like, I get it. Sometimes it may seem redundant. You're going to sit down, you could take your mask off, that's fine. But just wear it for the sake of everybody else and for the sake of the cast members who have to be there every single day.
It's the easiest way to show that you care about your fellow human beings at this point.
Yeah. You don't have to give them presents. Just wear your mask.
Right.
Just go, I care.
I
And put your
care.
mask on.
Look at my face. I care.
Look at my eyes.
We will wait in anticipated excitement about whether or not Disney pulls back in any sort of capacity. I know we all want to get back to some semblance of normalcy. I know we all want to see our Disney parks return. But this thing is so fluid and things change week to week, it seems. We want them to do so safely, and we really hope that Disney gets this right and that the gamble pays off.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.